In section 9.6, we're going to talk about the discriminant and what it means to quadratic formulas. So the discriminant is just the part of the quadratic formula that was under the square root. So here's the discriminant. It's just b squared minus 4ac. Notice that the square root is not part of this formula. We're using this to tell how many solutions or how many roots a quadratic equation has. So we're not finding them, we're not solving them, we're just saying how many there are. So remember that if you have a quadratic equation, the graph of it would either look like this, where it would hit the x-axis 2 times. It could look like this, where it's just going to hit 1 time. Or it could be something that does this, where it's not going to hit the x-axis any time, 0 times. So the discriminant will tell us how many solutions an equation has without having to try to find them. So here's what we do. We're going to take 3x squared plus 6x equals negative 3. The first thing we always do is set our equation equal to 0, whether we're finding the solutions as with the quadratic formula, or if we're just saying how many. You always have to start with an equals 0. So I'm going to add 3. 3x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. Now I want to label my a, b, and c. So based on where everything lands, here's my a, it's 3, b is 6, and c is also 3. And I plug these 3 numbers in just into b squared minus 4ac. So b squared minus 4ac, b squared would be 6 squared, minus 4 times a is 3 times c is 3. 6 squared is 36. 4 times 3 is 12 times 3 is also 36. So I get 0 as my answer. Now that does not mean that there are no solutions. Here is where you have to really remember what your answer means. If you get a positive number, then there are 2 solutions and your graph would look like this. If you get a negative number, there are no solutions and your graph would look like this. If you get 0, which is what I got over here, then that means there is 1 solution. So my answer to this problem, I wouldn't say 0, I would say 1 solution. Okay, that's what these questions are going to be asking. How many solutions does the equation have? So if you get a positive number, you say 2 solutions. You get a negative number, you say no solutions, and if you get 0, there's just 1 solution. And what this means is, because remember, this is the part that's under the square root in the quadratic formula, and square roots, the square root of a positive number, let's say the square root of 4, has 2 answers. Positive and negative 2. Square root of a negative number, square root of negative 4, is where you say no solution. And the square root of 0 is just 0, it's just 1 answer. There's no plus or minus 0. So that's where these answers are coming from. It's how many answers does a square root of that type of number have. Positive numbers have 2 square roots, negative numbers have no square roots, and 0 only has 1 square root. So that's how you're going to give your answers in this section. 2 solutions, no solution, or 1 solution. And that's 9.6.